Hello everybody, my name's Kanoi Mainika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today I'm back with my hated child, My Hero Academia. Yeah, it's a bad manga, but again, these toys are unfortunately the best that Bandai puts out, seemingly. But hopefully we're nearing the end of this little capsule, which means I should be able to tap out pretty soon, outside of one weird extenuating circumstance. So let's finally start to round out this little half-shelf collection that I've got going with today's release, the leader of the League of Villains who's been long awaited for the set, the S.H.Figuarts, Tomura Shigaraki. Yeah, it's nice to have a Shigaraki, despite none of the Shigaraki action figures outside of the one by McFarlane fucking Toys being based off of his coolest design, the one with the hands. But that doesn't really matter. This is the one that fits in with the other figures, I guess, since it's endgame Shigaraki, which does mean it's just kind of a anemic guy in pants. But yeah, let's get into it. As you can tell, it is fitting that My Hero Academia theming specifically that's been going around with the different League of Villains members, the sort of black background with specifically purple highlights this time, I guess because it fits Tomura Shigaraki, with a little bit of red in the font. You can see those striping bits in the background. There's a nice window to get a good look at the figure itself, as well as a bunch of his faceplates. The S.H.Figuarts quote is printed right there. A little messy this time, but that's okay. Tomura Shigaraki in English and Japanese. The usual copyrights and where it's built and whatnot. Tamashii Nations, Bandai, MHA. On this side, you get 5 promo images. There was a promo image here as well of him with his hand out and his tongue out. And then we get 5 promo images to show his different faceplates here, which look very nice. And then the My Hero Academia Tomura Shigaraki. On this side, you get him with his meat flaps out. SHF MHA, Tomura Shigaraki with the MHA logo there. This looks pretty nice. His hair is also flowing upward, but the meat flaps are more important. The top has a little bit more window, as well as another nice promo image of him just kind of being there with his cloak and the MHA logo. The bottom has one of those really pretty promo images of him using his like disintegration powers, purple rain and whatnot, which looks really cool. And then on the back, you get your usual back of box look, simple style and heroic action, Tomura Shigaraki, some nice promo images, him using his powers, super modeling, some nice different promo shots, super action, dynamic articulation enables recreation of iconic action sequences from the anime. Legalese, this is where the now smaller Bandai America stamp is. But yeah, that's the box. This is a video, as you can see, for ages 15 and up, so get the fuck out of here if you're not. And if you're willing to stay, because you're old enough, let's fucking unbox this thing. I think there's a back flap, which means there's probably instructions. This box is big, by the way. It's not very tall. It is wide, though, because he has the meat flaps and the cloak. There is a flap, which means the instructions are going to be behind that. So let's, I guess, get those out. So yeah, we have just a generic purple flap behind the figure, and then we get our instruction manual, which is fairly simple. It shows you how to disassemble the figure to get certain accessories onto him. Once you get the package out of the way, this is what comes in it. And here are our 3 layers. So I guess let's start with this. In this little baggie, we get the cloth goods. It's a separate part, but he does come with a cloth goods nice and tattered cape. Color-wise, it does look a little plain to my eye. Let me actually get it out before I start talking about it. Please hold. Here we have the cape. I'm not going to zoom in on it. It has some nice bendy wire. It looks like there's one in the center to help keep it tapered down, and then one that goes around the edges, which actually seems pretty cool, and also one in the little upper bit. And it has a nice torn texture to it. It is actually one of the nicer, I guess, pre-torn textures I've seen in a cloth goods piece like this. You'll have to tamp it down once you connect it to the figure, but it does look very nice. I actually really like how it looks. The wire does become a little bit evident in the way it's glued in there. It does darken parts of it to my eye, but it's not the worst that it could be. And again, the tattering is very nice. I do think it's a nice piece of cloth goods, and it's nice that it is cloth goods. It has a rough texture to it, almost papery, but not quite, but it works. I do wish, though, there was a little bit of like paint work or like printing work on it so that it could look a little bit dirtier, because I do think it should have some like darker shading to it, I think more than anything, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice for what it is. I guess next up for accessories, we'll take a look at this since it's its own layer. We also have his other power expression part, or whatever. The weird meat flap. He gains this weird meat skirt at some point in the battle. It feels really weird. It has like almost rubbery, but it's a little bit stiffer than you would expect. It also has the stuff info printed right there, which is actually kind of nice. Oh, but yeah, so we have a little bit of ab section, and it does have some nice paint to it, but it's just so weird. I really don't like the meat flaps. I do like the shading on them. I think it's well captured, but I don't know. I don't think it really works. I don't really like the meat skirt. But yes, you essentially just pop off the little mid-torso piece there. You pop the upper torso in there, the lower torso, or the waist in there, and boom, you got meat flaps. I'm really not going to use the meat flaps of all the power, because this counts as a power expression part. Of all the power expression parts that have come in these figures, I think this is the weakest. Anyways, on to Shigaraki himself. We got to look at the accessories in the main tray. Which that was actually surprisingly easy to get off. I guess we'll take a look at the hands, which there are 4 pairs alongside the fists that come on the figure. First off, let's take a look at these widespread open hands, which I think would make sense for Mr. Decay. It's like him touching the ground, or just doing cool action poses, or sucking in powers, because he does have all for one at this point. It has little stigmata almost in the center of the hands, because of that power expression. It would have been nice if they were colored a little bit darkly, but that's okay. Otherwise, they are very nicely textured. Him being as anemic as he is does mean you have to put a lot of extra texturing in like the bones and like the musculature and like the veininess of his aesthetic. And I think it does look good. He looks weird and dry, and I think it works very nicely. And then we have even more sort of expressive parts, which very much feel in that line. We have these sort of outspread hands. There's a little bit of a paint work, like a dry brush almost, to these hands, which actually looks very nice. But yes, again, more of that nice sculpted texturing, a little bit of nice painted texturing too, which is, again, very nicely appreciated. And then we have these grappler hands almost, which again, look fairly nice. A lot of the same, just in a very cool expressive pose. This is a good pose to have, I like it. And we have more almost faux grapplers, which almost look like clawing hands, more like, in comparison to the others. Again, a fairly decent pose, not super different from the other one, but I think it makes sense. He isn't really holding much of anything. I think these work. Next up is faces. Alongside the sort of smile that he has out of the package, he has this screaming face. And something that's nice about Tomura here is that he requires a lot of extra decaling. He has a lot of nice little dry patches and like very wrinkly skin, and I think they pulled it off quite expertly with this figure. He has a very nice shout, a very nice scream. I like his eyes. It's a very nice expression. The mouth is painted pretty expertly. There's no real paint slop for a Vietnam factory figure. Probably the coolest expression that he comes with is this one, the little tongue out. He's a weird little creep freak. But yeah, it's very nicely done. The tongue is very nicely sculpted. It's very nicely and cleanly painted. All the little scarring and like the wrinkles look nice. The eyes are in such a strong expression for this faceplate. It's so good. I love it. Just this sort of aggressive face. He's getting annoyed. This one doesn't work as well. The teeth feel a little bit disconnected from the rest of the jaw. But again, same nice high quality printing, same nice high quality sculpting. I think it just generally works. Weird that this little crack goes under the little hairpiece. That's weird. And then finally, we have this wacky sort of smile, which feels very Shigaraki. I like the different eyes. I think it works very well. Again, the printed scarring works exceptionally well. And like you can see the ways that his lips are sculpted with a little bit of cracking. That's very cool. He's got really chapped lips. But yeah, all the faces work exceptionally well. I really like them. But yes, finally, he has a separate hairpiece, as a lot of these figures have had, which is sort of floating in the air. It works for his like all-for-one state. It's very nicely sculpted, and this probably gets out of the way better for articulation if you need it, and it's nice just to have this cool floating hairpiece. It's something that I think makes sense for this rendition of Tomura, and as you can see, it has a lot it's very sharp, so be careful while handling it, but it's covered in just nice little parts, and it looks so cool. It's very good. It's very good. It has a nice floaty aesthetic, and I think it makes sense and it works. But yeah, those are all his accessories. For the first time, I think I'm going to complain about accessories in one of these figures. Well, I guess the second time after Katsuki Bakugo being fairly light. I think this should have come with a decay effect. Like, obviously he's using all for one a lot in this battle, but he does still have decay, and I think having a little bit of a decay effect, just having like a little bit of it on the ground. I know you could probably use that one effect set that came out alongside Uraraka, the sort of like crumbling wall effect, but it would have been nice to have some of that in the package. It is nice that he has some of the stuff that's more exclusive to him, but the size of the box really just comes from like a this is a massive amount of plastic. I will admit, this is a lot of plastic, but it doesn't really feel worthwhile because it's just this one big piece that isn't really that cool looking and doesn't really feel it. And I do appreciate the bendy wire cloth goods. That is good. That does make it feel more premium. But I do feel like they could have given us more, honestly. I do feel like just one nice crackling effect part, especially with just the sheer amount of stuff that came with Himiko last time. I think that he could have come with a little bit more. But yes, let's take a look at the figure itself and see how he goes. So here he is. And obviously, a big thing about this is, like, depending on who you are, you're just gonna have to deal with him being, like, a plain-ish guy. Though the sculpting is quite nice, all things considered. Like, as much as he is a plain-ish guy, he has a lot of cool sculpting. So, like, I cannot deny that. He has a lot of nice, cool sculpting. Let's get a nice full rotation of him so that you can get a good look. Looking at his joint and musculature, it's somewhat similar to Ace, actually. The SHF Ace, which is a very good release. So hopefully he's able to stand up to that. Let's take a closer look at him. And as you can see, the face sculpt does work very well with the hair. Obviously, this is sort of like a sort of tired smile, which I do think works well. This is one of his best faces, the teeth blending really well into the chapped lips. And it's hidden very well by the massive hair. He has a lot of hair, as you can see. It's all weird and messy and tangly, and it flows out very well, and it hides where it does have articulation very nicely. Obviously, depending on how low you keep it, it can be a bit much, but you can hide it very easily. And it's really only visible from the back, so that's nice. He looks very good there. And obviously, he's a simple design, all things considered, but that musculature is sculpted so well. Like, look at like the deepness of like his neck bones and like the shoulder bits and like the musculature just being like stretching in that skin. It's so weird and sinewy, but so well done. And it continues on the back as well. I've gotta pull it out here because look at that. He's weird and thin, but he does have that musculature, and it just looks so good. It's a very detailed sculpt, and it does have a little bit of paint there. I was gonna complain, but like looking at it, he does have a little bit of like a slight gray wash to it. It's a very subtle look, which I appreciate, but it does highlight his like dryness and his and that look very, very nicely. Maybe even a matte wash could have helped this even more. I feel like if anyone needs a matte wash, it's him. But yeah, and the same goes for the arms. You can see the veins popping out of his muscles, and it just looks so sinewy, and like the joint is also really well hidden in doing that musculature look. It's so good. It's so well done. There isn't much to say about it because very well detailed, but somewhat one note. But it is so well detailed. The pants add a little bit of difference by being pants, and they have a little bit of a wash, it looks like, to them as well, or maybe it's just a plastic, but it does look good with the tattering at the top and the bunched upness like near where like the hips are, and it going down to the tattering at the lower legs, and it looks, and then we go back to the weird sinewy boniness down here at the bottom of the legs. Oh my goodness, and the feet, the weird long bony feet, ugh. I don't know, he is big and he feels heavy, I think a lot because of the hair, but he does feel heavy, he feels dense as well. He feels good as a figure, he looks good as a figure. There just isn't a lot to say, I guess, because he's again fairly one note in this design. Like, it's doing this design exceptionally, but it's just not a design that I'm personally fond of. There isn't a lot to talk about. But let's take a talk about the articulation, I guess. This is going to be a shorter video, I imagine, just because there's not a lot to talk about. Head is on a ball joint. It's able to move up pretty decently, and there's like a ball joint down here and like a whole system down here, which allows it some extra articulation. Looks up fairly good for a character with long hair. I imagine you'll get a little bit more out of this head sculpt, just because the hair is even more out of the way. He's able to look down very far, even with the hair kind of getting in the way, this bang specifically. He's able to look down very far and has some pretty good tilt. Again, the hair gets in the way, mainly this little bit, but he is able to tilt and be nice and expressive, and it works fairly well. The shoulders are on a sort of rolling butterfly system that allows them to butterfly in fairly well while still looking fairly natural with the musculature. Yes, goes forward about that far, back pretty well actually because of that musculature. The back is actually more impressive than the front, but yes. The arms are on your sort of universal hinges, able to move up that far, and they look, again, thanks to that particular ace-like sculpt, very natural in that pose. And they're able to do a full rotation. You got to move the head out of the way a little bit for them to do it, but they have the ability to do a full rotation. It's just the hair getting in the way. Also, the hair is on a swivel hinge swivel, so the back hair can get out of the way as you need. Not a ton, but it'll hinge up, down, and swivel, and I think there's a little bit of swivel down at the lower end, but you're more so getting swivel at the upper end, so yeah. Bicep swivel, as is to be expected. Very tight, though. Double jointed elbow, okay, no wiggle at it, but the double jointed elbow basically goes as far as you would want. Swivel, hinge, swivel at the wrist, as you would expect from an S.H.Figuarts. So torso has some nice looking articulation. Ball joint here, ball joint there, ball joint at the waist. So upper joint is able to move back a little bit and forward a little bit and has very good tilt. Lower joint has even more back, even more forward, even not as much tilt. And then this lower joint, all combined, gets a very good crunch, very good arc back, and very good side to side. There, that is good. It's not as, and if anything, he does feel a little bit nicer than Ace, just because his tolerances feel a little bit better. So I guess take that as you will, as an Ace-like figure. The crotch is a floating part. No real drop down at the hips, but since this is like floating and rubbery, he's able to do a full kick forward. A very nice kick back, because again, this is rubbery, so it is getting out of the way, though probably don't leave it there like that the whole time. It's able to go out all the way as you would expect. Thigh swivel is a ball joint, so it's able to have a little bit of wiggle, but it's mainly a thigh swivel. Double jointed knee, able to kick all the way. The sculpt does get slightly in the way, but he's kicking all the way back. And then he also has a ball joint here at the ankle-y bit, like almost ankle, where it is kind of a boot cut, but it's very much a ball joint and it has a lot of range. So that's very nice and expressive and allows for extra kicking back, extra kicking forward, and it just looks very cool. And then ankle's fairly standard, kicks forward that far, back that far, ankle tilts impressively, and a toe bend. So yeah, I guess the big thing about Shigaraki is that this figure, I'm gonna pop his head off so I can get the cloth goods on him. Slotting that on, obviously the cloth goods, articulation-wise, are bendy wire, so the hair is very tough a little bit to work around neck-wise, but yeah, the cloth goods work. You kind of gotta taper them yourself a little bit out of the package, get them nice and bent so that they can look their best, and obviously they have a little bit of a flatness to them. They aren't my favorite soft goods I've ever had on a figure. Yeah, overall I think Tomura is like a very strong figure, but I don't know if it's just character preference or if it's vibe or whatever, but I'm not fucking with him as much as I think other people are, because he is an exceptional figure. I've got to be honest. He does everything that he's trying to do well, but I don't know if it's just the fairly basic design, or if it's like character connection that I'm missing, or if it's I don't really know. He's doing a lot of stuff really cool, but I really think I'm being bummed out because he doesn't really feel like he goes even more beyond. Like I don't know. He is very exceptional. He's doing basically everything at the top of his game, but I do feel like he could have come with more accessories. I do feel like he could have done something. I don't know. Maybe an alternate head to do the weird gas mask thing or whatever the fuck it was. The weird alternate head from the final part of the battle. Because they would have known about it. It would have been in the manga, even if they were developing this figure during the final season. It was in the manga for a while, and they would know about it. So maybe an extra head like that to have this be sort of an all-for-one also situation. But I don't know. There's just something about this that isn't clicking with me as hard as the previous couple figures. Not to say it's bad. This is like a very good figure in a crop of amazing figures. You have to understand. I do recommend it a lot, especially if you're a Tomura Shigaraki fan. I think he goes very well with the Izuku Midoriya from what I can tell. I think even if you just get this and Izuku, you'll have a very good My Hero Academia shelf. But yeah, I don't know. I guess this line has just been so exceptional, it's dulling my expectations a little bit. He's very good. I like him a lot, and I understand why someone might say this is the best figure in the line. Maybe I just need to play with it more. I just think Himiko's better. I don't know. I think Himiko just does more. It feels like more. It feels more impressive that figure is as good as it is than this one feels impressive. Because I feel like a lot of the tricks it's doing I've seen before. Like, again, it feels very much like a slightly refined version of Ace, and Ace's the only real refinements Ace needed were tolerance things, and this one does at least have those good tolerances, so he does have good hand feel. But I feel like that Ace came with more to play with, if I'm gonna be honest. I feel like the Ace is a better figure, because the Ace, while it has a very similar structure to this, and feels very similar to this, those extra flame effect parts just did so much more. So maybe just a little bit of decay effects would have helped me a lot, because like this as an accessory, as a power expression accessory, just kind of stays on the figure and you can't really do much with it other than like the one floating pose. But whatever, I'm being nitpicky. This is a very good figure. If you like Tomura Shigaraki, you should pick it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like on the video. That lets me know that I should make more videos like this and that you enjoyed it. Leave a comment leaving any of your thoughts. I don't know what those thoughts are, so leave them. Go check out previous videos on the channel. I've covered a lot of the SHF line up to this point, so if you want to see those videos, they are on the channel right now. And be sure to subscribe for future ones, because I know I have at least one more figure in the lineup that I've pre-ordered. And that figure I'm also really excited for because it looks really cool. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!